Hey, Catherine, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Are you ready to get started?
Yes, I am. I am.
All right. So you have partnered with Crest and Oral B to end oral health inequality. What is your
Yeah.
favorite part about this partnership?
Well, I think my favorite part about it is bringing just like educating and being able to actually help children that just have the lack of education and the lack of access. Especially because with children, I think anything that you can teach them now, it's going to grow into adulthood and then they can pass the same thing on to their next generations. And so with the lack of education to those things or the access, it's definitely going to help make a difference in their life, and it can make a huge difference and an impact on them in their adulthood. So whether it's heart health, chronic pain, any of those issues, it's great to avoid any of those things. There's nothing like seeing somebody in pain from having to get a root canal or things that could have been avoided as a child, because we just didn't think it mattered and we didn't put that as a priority. So it's just helping them recognize that this should be a priority and to help them actually make this a priority for themselves.
And now, with this partnership, what exactly is oral health inequality? Could you better define it for us?
Well, there's an inequity when it comes to that. We don't understand that there's equity in investing into your mouth and making sure that you take care of your mouth, whether it's going to the dentist and every 6 months and getting a real cleaning. And when you see the dentist, he can let you know if there's a cavity, he can let you know all the little things instead of waiting to go to him when you have a really, really big problem. Investing into yourself, into your future, because truthfully, there is an equity in, the knowledge of having this of the knowledge of actually knowing how to take care of your mouth and your oral I guess your oral health. I would say I'm like fitness with it's actually it all kind of goes with it. It's kind of funny because I can say all those things, but I don't want to confuse anyone. But it's just really important as far as like taking care of yourself all the way for the long run, and this is actually can be passed on to your children as well. The inequality, I guess, I would say would be the lack of education, but we're bringing this to them, and the lack of access. You were helping bring access to all these children through different organizations, and just speaking on it like myself. And I mean, I experienced it through myself, through my parents. They were both immigrants of Cuba, and so they didn't have any of this access. No, and unfortunately, it hit them later on as adults. And I witnessed my mom and my dad, having to go to the dentist to get root canals and having random pains and just chronic pain, and them not being able to go to work. All those kind of things really affected them, and so they made sure that they instilled with us a really, really good routine. So
And now, with this something you've seen in your own life, and also working with Crest and Oral B, was there anything you were surprised to learn through this process?
I think the biggest surprise to learn is that I didn't realize that, it's 4 times greater for Hispanic children and it's 2 times greater for African American children. I had a lot of questions. I'm like, why is this one? And a lot of it has to do with, it's not necessarily the upbringing, but it's like the lack of access is really is truthfully that, because kids, they're all eating the same thing, they're all doing the same thing, but it's the lack of and it's not even the lack of interest, it's the lack of access and understanding how important it actually is and making it a priority. So I think that really caught my attention, because yeah, it really has a lot to do with heart health, a lot of things that you can deal with later on. And so if you can really like catch it early now, then it'll help make a difference for them. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that surprised me. Of course, there's things like brush your teeth for 2 minutes, go, floss your teeth, and there's a proper way to floss. Those are things even for me I've learned from my dentist that I didn't realize, like, oh, there's a proper way to floss. Like I knew I was flossing, but I didn't know I should floss this way. I learned that from my dentist, but your dentist can help teach you that too.
And I have to ask you, with talking about healthy smiles, but also we just finished Thanksgiving and we're transitioning into Christmas, what makes you smile the most during the holidays?
Christmas music. I love teaching my kid, like playing, they're so little now, but I love like they're just getting to know what the holidays are. So I actually love teaching, especially my son Isaiah, what Christmas is or just the holidays are all about, and showing him Christmas lights. And I'm showing him like, movies, holiday movies, or gosh, and then playing him songs. Of course, there's the age old Mariah Carey song, but he loves it. and he dances to it, and it's so cute. And I'm sending pictures and videos to all my friends. So it's those things. It's my kids. They really make me smile the most out of anything. Yeah, it's them.
And with you being a mom, I mean, you're a true triple threat. You're a dancer, singer, actress, and also you're entrepreneur with the beignet box. How are you able to balance all of these things?
You know, I've always been a multitasker, and I like to challenge myself. I'm convinced in my life that these things were presented to me because God said that I can do it. And so in my mind, I've just had the willpower and the positive thinking and to tell myself that I can, and I will find a way to make things work. And somehow they do without somehow I'm not exhausted. I'm not tired. Like I'm actually just more excited and it fuels more my passion. So having kids is usually the brunt of like all of that is the one part that you're like, okay, this is the most important factor to me because I can't do all of this stuff if I'm not doing this well. So doing that part well is my biggest challenge is making sure I do well. And as a parent, you're always going to question yourself if you're doing enough, but you are. You definitely are. And you're also just setting a good example. But I think I think moms in general or women, I don't want to channel out guys. Sorry, guys. Guys too. But I do think that we have this ability to be strong multitaskers, especially once you have children. So, but men too. Parents, how about that? Parents, you got the multitasking down, but you don't have to only be that. But that's my thing. That's my thing.
And you mentioned that, you know, you can do these things because God told you you can. What advice do you give for people to kind of act on faith and kind of follow the path you feel called to?
I think that in life, like you have to be, it's also a sense of optimism. It's like believing in the unknown and having faith. I feel like my life is driven on faith that I feel like, yes, my story is written and I'm walking in my story. And I feel like everything that it's all connected. Every time that I reach a destination it's a goal, it's something that I really want, that I love. I have no question in my mind that I could actually do it. And I actually and somehow even if the message or the journey is diverted, I feel like I learned something on that journey. So I found whenever I've ever had any doubt, not to say that it didn't work out, but I'm going to say that when I wasn't connected with just my faith, that I think it like, you know, you don't see the opportunity and how great life can be in front of you. So it's just kind of slowed down. But I feel like because I'm so faith driven, I'm open to opportunity and to knowing that there's a positive outcome. And I feel like it pans out. That was long. Sorry. You're like,
And now that I'm interviewing you, I just have to ask you this question. As an Afro Latina, my mother
yeah,
specifically picked like your films because you were pretty much the only person who
yeah.
had a shared identity that was in major films for my age demographic.
Mhm.
And with her generation, there's La Lupe and Celia Cruz. So what is it like being able to kind of be that icon for my generation?
It's so crazy because I never really like put it that way. I never thought of it that way until recently. A couple girls have said that to me. They were like, I didn't have anybody to look up to. And I got chills actually just thinking about it right now. I got chills because there were certain people like I had a few people, and it was very few actually. But it makes me so happy because I always felt kind of like an outsider, anyways, growing up. I never quite fit in with, you know, one crowd or the other because being a Black Latina was so, you just didn't have that on television. And so to be able to be that and to inspire other people means that I'm doing a good job because that's how my mom raised me. She said, don't forget, people are looking at, you know, they're watching and you're changing lives, you're motivated, you know, always try to do good. So I feel very, thank you, honored. I feel honored to have been that for your mom and for you. I pray that I've always been, you know, just a good influence in a lot of good ways because, you know, our time here is short, and if you can make an impact that can change other people's lives and open doors for other people, then go for it and do it. So I feel very fortunate to be in that position. I never realized that it would be that, and my mom was right. Don't tell her I said that. No, but she was right, and I'm seeing more of it now. And now we title it, or we call it Latinx, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to see more of us on television. I want to integrate more of everything and more culture on television, because we come from all different walks of life. So, and people need to see you, what it's like to be us.
Literally.
Yeah.
And with that kind of lack of representation, I mean, Black Latinos have been here, we've been everywhere, there are countries of us. What advice do you give for young folks who want to go into the industry, but they feel like they can't represent their own identity or culture within this space?
Wow. I think that's an interesting question, but that they can't represent that. I mean, we're in an age right now where it's the most important time to represent that. You know, sometimes I've definitely played roles where it was a gray area, and you were like, okay, what is she? Who is she? You know what I mean? They had that. But I'm telling you, every single time, I always try to find a way to implement that she was who I am in those films, even if it didn't even call for it. Whether it was say, oh, you know, whether it was a line, it was something that just made that implemented that, hey, this girl is a Black Latina, or this is Latina, something like that. I always found a way to implement that little bit of something. Not everyone's going to get that opportunity to do that with every role, but if you can create an identity for your person, and it's important to you to help change and the impact of our culture and people to see it more, you can do little things. It's just really little, small little things, a line, a different line, or just speak on it. Talk to the producers, talk to your director, talk to somebody, and figure out how to engage people more with your culture, because there's a way to do it with. So I don't know. And that's what I've done. I've done it for years, and it's funny because sometimes it wouldn't even matter for the character, but we always still made sure we did something that implemented who we are within the characters.
Catherine, you have time for one more question.
Well, those are actually all my questions today.
Perfect.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Christina, for your time, and thank you so much for your work. It's, I mean, moved so many of us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That really meant a lot to me. So thank you so much.